I'm Richard Pyatt. This is the BC City Connection podcast, straight from City Hall, Battle Creek, Michigan. We focus a good number of our episodes on the issue of housing. This time, we're checking in with the Community Development Department to talk about a number of things housing related. Helen Guzzo is here, Community Development Manager, and Emily Arntz, who oversees the lead programs in the city of Battle Creek. Welcome to you both.
Thank you, Richard. It's good to be here.
Yeah, glad to have you back. We'll have lots to talk about. In fact, Emily's going to talk about a special event as it relates to lead abatement and health of young people therein, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. There are a number of programs, Helen, under the umbrella of community development that folks may not know about, and one of them might raise a few eyebrows because I expect people don't always know these are there, and this one is one of them. Minor home repair. Talk about what that's about.
Yeah, that's our major public program that we fund with federal community development block grant dollars. We get about 1.2, a little bit less than $1.2 million a year. About 25% of it goes to code compliance, and then about half of our resources go to a minor home repair program. So we do things up to $25,000 that don't disturb lead-based paint surfaces. Because if we spend more than $25,000, then we have to bring the whole house up to lead-safe standards, and that can be a very expensive endeavor. We really prevent houses from becoming vacant because often it's an older homeowner who's lived in their home for a very long time, and they get $1,500 to $2,000 a month on Social Security, maybe a little pension, but they don't have the resources to repair the roof or the furnace or to make that front stair repair or to put on a ramp. So it's targeted at homeowners of all ages, but more than half of our dollars go to older homeowners who are 65 and older, who've lived in their homes for a long time. And anytime a roof is insecure, it leads to just deterioration of the home in general. And so I really see that the minor home repair program is part of a vacancy prevention program so people can get those roofs repaired. We pair it with code compliance because 25% of the total code compliance budget is paid for with CDBG. So we prioritize folks that get an order to repair. So in Battle Creek, you can't have a blue tarp on your roof for any long period of time or you're going to get a code compliance violation. But people put tarps on the roof when the roof's leaking, and then they can't get a loan, they can't get a mortgage, a second mortgage, or a home repair mortgage. So that is the hole in our safety network that the minor home repair program fills.
That's amazing. And 1.2 million big ones from the feds. I mean, this is no tiny amount of money, but nevertheless, there's probably plenty of need, Helen, right?
There is. It's once you get approved, it could be 6 months to a year. With emergencies, we can do a little quicker, but it takes us a while. And then in the winter, we can't do roofs. So we want to get all our roofs started and ended before November when it all depends on what the snowpack is. But it's better for roofs to be done when the sun can seal the asphalt shingles. And so, but we do 20 to 30 roofs a year for low-income folks in the city of Battle Creek.
This is incredible. And many of us have been to different municipalities where we might see those tarps on roofing because, as you say, what are you going to do? You got your roof leaking. You can't fix it right now. There's going to be a tarp there. But in this case, this is a code compliance situation and there's help available. So if folks are curious about that online application or they have questions, the Community Development Office can probably answer those, right?
Community development is a little difficult to find on our website, but on community services, they've got programs. They've got our lead abatement, our lead safe programs, and then they have our minor home repair program. You know, the code compliance also runs a paint program where I think maybe Jason Francisco has been on the show before talking about the paint program.
Mm-hmm.
So we just finished a major rehab of 614 Northeast Capitol. We partnered with Recovery Services Unlimited. So it took us a couple years. We had this building. It was a failed project that didn't move forward for rental rehab. And we combined opioid settlement dollars and community development block grant dollars. And we've turned it over to Recovery Services Unlimited to actually provide housing for folks in recovery from opioid addiction. So it's a really exciting project we just finished.
Oh, man. Well, congratulations. That's a nice day to be able to see the fruition of that effort. Let's talk about Battle Creek Public Schools Housing Incentive Program. What is that about?
The W.K. Kellogg Foundation has made a very strong commitment to the Bearcat Pride and to restoring our Battle Creek Public Schools. And so part of this is teachers have qualified for, if they're inside the city of Battle Creek target area, $20,000 for down payment assistance. And if they're in the school district but not in the city, $10,000 worth of. And we've helped 77 families,
Oh, my.
teachers, buy homes. And there's a rental assistance benefit. You know, when you're a new teacher and you come into a new district, you're starting to get your loans and just professional clothes. And so uh, the first year someone has a, a lease in Battle Creek, we've been able to help them with $4,500, so $375 a month subsidy for just 1 year. But it's to help new teachers. It's to help provide an incentive for people to join Battle Creek Public Schools, and it's been used by I think 45 teachers their first year of teaching. So it's helped a lot of Battle Creek area teachers invest in housing in Battle Creek through that program.
Yeah, we presume that helps them stay in the community, invest in their career here in Battle Creek. There's all kinds of ripple effects to that, aren't
Yeah.
there?
Live in Battle Creek, be taxpayers in Battle Creek, support your students being part of Battle Creek. So it's been a great program that we're really proud of the outcomes of the Battle Creek Public Schools Housing Incentive Program.
All right. And speaking of incentives, or I should say rental assistance, there is a program through Neighborhoods Incorporated that does something similar. Is that true?
Yeah, we have a tenant-based rental assistance program that really supports families that are leaving homelessness or at risk of homelessness. It's 3 to 6 months of rental assistance, so it helps folks get a security deposit and then get short-term rental assistance to get over that hump and recover from homelessness. They every quarter they help about 45 families. It's been a great program that we provide, and we reimburse NIBC quarterly for that rental assistance program using federal home investment partnership dollars.
Okay. Again, questions about this, we'll have links in the show notes. You can click through or certainly reach out to Community Services at the City of Battle Creek for more information. All right, Emily, when you think about the notion of lead paint, I think I was a kid when, the early 70s, when the notion of lead paint being essentially poisonous was gaining its footing and remediation was starting. And, I know how old I am. And here we are still working at this. This program is key, this lead safe program, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. And I mentioned this in September on our last show that over 75% of the homes in Calhoun County were built before 1978. So, yes, there is still a lot of work to do to get those homes lead safe for these families.
Yeah. So just for a second, let's be clear about what this means. So, somebody's thinking 1978. I mean, those houses have had that paint covered since then, right? Maybe not.
Maybe not. And if they have, they can become deteriorated and expose previous lead paint that is under all of those current layers, which then poses a risk for kids.
Yeah, and that's the point is that young bodies can be affected negatively health-wise by exposure to this. So if you can imagine, babies want to put things in their mouth, right?
Mhm.
And dust can be in the air that could be lead paint dust. They could breathe that. This is what you're concerned with in the lead safe program, right?
Correct. Yes. So younger kids have um, higher chances of having more detrimental health impacts. As you mentioned, putting things in their mouth, they're crawling on the ground, which is where lead dust settles. And then they're doing that hand to mouth behavior. So that is the main source of lead for kids.
You say it much more eloquently than do I, but you get the point. So what does Lead Safe program do?
So we have two grant programs. They both fall under the Lead Safe program, but they come from different funding sources and they serve different populations. So the state CHIP program that serves families with children 19 and under that are enrolled in Medicaid or a pregnant person enrolled in Medicaid, whereas the federal HUD program serves families with children under the age of 6 where the household makes 80% area median income or lower. So once someone qualifies for that program, what we do is we contract out a service to come test every painted surface to see if it is lead. Then they do a risk assessment to see if there is damages. So like we mentioned, if there is paint chipping, that becomes a lead hazard to these kids. So they'll check every surface. And then from there, we get that report back. We create that scope of work and we take care of those lead hazards for that family.
This could be a home ownership situation for these folks, or it could be a tenant who's renting from another owner, and the problem is the same. You have to navigate those situations, right?
Yes, we do both homeowners and renters. With renters, we do have to get the property owner's permission to do the work.
So, what actually happens? You identify this, you test it, you say, okay, there has to be a remediation as it relates to the lead paint in this home. What typically happens in the process?
We try to do a full abatement, which is a permanent type of removal of the paint or covering. Interim is temporary, so that could be cleaning or a temporary cover of the lead paint. Um, but again, our goal is to do that full abatement to make it permanently safe for these families. And then if they move out, it's going to be safe for families that move in afterwards.
Yeah, there is a concern about all kids who might be in that environment going forward. All right. So, what's the latest? And is there any news we should talk about as it relates to the Lead Safe program?
Yeah, just following up on our last session, we did end up get that HUD grant. So we got that in March of this year. Yes, for 4.75 million. Um, yes, quite a bit of money, and that's going to go through March of 2030. So over the next 4 years, we have our work cut out for us. The goal is to abate 70 homes throughout Calhoun County. But on top of that, we are doing this huge education campaign each year. So that will usually run from April to November.
You probably run into folks who don't even know about lead paint, right? I mean,
Correct.
1978 for some of us was only yesterday, but there really are folks who have grown up and become parents after that who, this doesn't get in the news a whole lot, so they may not know.
Yes, that's correct. And most of the time, people do think it's just the water, and that's an issue we come across. So once they think it's just in the water, they don't want to apply for our program. But as I mentioned, 75% of the homes here are built before 1978. So there's a high likelihood that it is in that paint.
Yeah.
So yes, it is. It's a lot of educating the public, getting them to apply for our programs, and then connecting them with our local partners. So we partner with the public health department. They provide lead testing for kids. They also do case management of kids that are lead poisoned, and they do education on nutrition and cleaning. And then we also have our partner of Community Action that does the abatements outside of the city of Battle Creek throughout Calhoun County. So it's really connecting those families with resources, making sure that they understand the hazards of lead and what they can do to prevent lead poisoning.
All right. Again, we'll put the link in the show notes so you can click through and find out more information about the Lead Safe program in Battle Creek. Meanwhile, we're talking now in July of 2026. There is an event in October of 2026, folks may have an opportunity to go to. And I would just say you probably will have more of these events going forward. So if you're listening after this, there very well could be another one coming. So check in with the Community Services Department in Battle Creek. But this is a health and wellness fair, particularly for kids, Emily.
Yes, it is a Calhoun County health and wellness fair for children. It is going to be October 10th. That is a Saturday. It's going to run from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at full blast. It is a free event, so anyone is welcome to come and enjoy the day with us. We're hoping to have a ton of local health and wellness resources, but the main point is to promote lead poisoning prevention. So when people come in, they'll see us first. We'll have them run through a quick screening, see if they are eligible to apply for our program. We'll pass them off to our partners at the health department, see if they've been tested or are interested in setting up a lead screening for them. And then they can go see the other health and wellness resources that are there.
All right. So again, that's October 10th, 2026, 10 a.m. to 2 at full blast. And keep looking at the City of Battle Creek website for events updates, community services area. If you want to call and talk about that, you certainly can. And you'll get more info when you do. Helen, this is a lot of stuff that are housing related and are continuing to go on. We probably piqued some interest, and you probably get to hear from people who say, I didn't know this was happening.
That's what we're here to provide the public awareness for how we use federal dollars, state and federal dollars, and then local, because we've got the housing incentive program that's funded by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. So we're trying our best to make them highly effective and targeted at those folks most in need.
All right. And so if that stirs up questions about any of these things, contact Community Development under the auspices of the Community Services Department and the City of Battle Creek, and they'll help you understand this. Well, congratulations to you both on all the good work you've been able to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Click through from the show notes for resources that we've talked about. In the meanwhile, Helen Guzzo, Emily Arntz, City of Battle Creek. Thank you.